This is one of those Champions League finals, which is crazy. Arsenal's record in qualifying is sensational. This goes back to what I said when I popped in at the top of the show was we're never going to get any respect until we win something big, right? We have gone through this entire Champions League unbeaten. It's phenomenal. I think this is the greatest qualifying campaign by any Arsenal team in Europe ever. People are underestimating what they have achieved, but it will mean nothing if they don't win something, whether that's the Premier League or the Champions League. They've got to win something. But this is, despite how big a club we are, this is insane. PSG were us 3 seasons ago. People were laughing at them, ridiculing them. They've got the Galacticos and they can't win shit in Europe. They were the laughing stock of football. Being up 4-0. You know the scores. You know the capitulations. The bottlers. And then they switched. They switched gears. Enrique made bold moves, bold changes, and they were off to the races. We are them. They were us. And now they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Untouchable PSG. The greatest thing in Europe. People treating them like they're Real Madrid. Of course, they've got the best players, great players, world-class players. But this is our Buster Douglas moment. Even though we're a big club, right? And to a lot of people, we're facing Mike Tyson. Buster Douglas, I'll let Kenny Ken riff off this. Albert likes a little bit of boxing, I know. Buster Douglas shocked the world. And Mike Tyson hit the canvas. This happens in sports sometimes. So people can write the headlines and say PSG are the favorites. Of course, they should be, right? They got no respect for how we got to the final. None. And this is just how we like it. We don't like being the hunted. We like hunting. And that's that, Dan. We've just got to show sometimes it's talent versus heart, right? Sometimes talent isn't enough to win. And it's shown in sports that sometimes it's not. Sometimes a lucky break, sometimes heart, sometimes there's something or someone that will pull you through. And this Arsenal team can do it. We've got no respect. People say you can't count beating Bayern Munich. You can't count. So no result matters in the accumulation of where you get to in a season now. I'm not saying we're going to utilize it and say that was the same Bayern or that was the same Inter or the same PSG. But the point for this team is they can prove to beat those teams, because for us, it's mental. It's not, we're not the better team. We're not the better individual talent, sorry, but we could be the better team on the night, Dan. That's what we've got to try and do.
So if I hear what you're saying, so come in quickly, Dan. Sorry, brother.
Go on, bro.
Yeah, so if I think to typify what Sophie was saying, and we talk about cup competitions all the time, and I think probably the biggest example I can think of, and Sophie knows what I'm probably about to say, and Kenny Ken, is Greece in Euro 2004.
Thank you. I should have brought that out. My country, my people.
What are we doing here, man? Come on, man.
You know what, Albert? You know what? Hold on 1 second. Just to say the thing about Greece, all right? I'm Greek. I'm Greek, right? And I can tell you something. And I did a whole thread on WhatsApp with Kenny like 2 weeks ago and Albert, where I shared my Greece Euro 2004 experience. Nobody gave us any respect. And why would they? Here is this team, this upstart team, which, by the way, hadn't won a game in years before Otto Rangel got there. And he fixed a broken side, much like Mikel fixed Arsenal. And no one, okay, so you beat Portugal, doesn't matter. You beat France, you beat Czech Republic, still doesn't matter. They can't do it. We get to the final. No one gave us a shot. 1-0 Greece. And you know what? The tactics weren't boring. Greece weren't boring. It was a brilliant plan that won a country a title. And I never thought ever I would see Greece win a Euros before England, ever. And you could say whatever you want about that team, but my God, they were brilliant and to the point. And that is a great example, Albert, of exactly the kind of, talent versus the passion and the courage and the belief.
Why do you disagree, Dan? What
the
go on, Dan?
comparison's a bit mad,
Listen, come on, listen. All respect to Greece, right? That was amazing in that. This is not Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson. This is not Greece versus Portugal. This is Arsenal Football Club.
No. This is what the media have made out. You're missing understanding. What did I say? No. Let me say. I said Arsenal Football Club, as big as we are Buster Douglas in the odds and in everything, and in the media and in what people are saying. We are the underdog going into this final.
From what I've seen in the media, it's been, I've actually heard quite good things about Arsenal in the media. I've heard if any team can beat them, it can be Arsenal. Sadov come out and said it. If any team can do it, it can be Arsenal. I haven't heard anyone, apart from rival fans, which they're going to do that. Man United fans are going to say, you can't wait for you to get smashed. That's normal. Yeah. There's no way. This Arsenal team could be Premier League champions.
You talk about us like we've got this pedigree in Europe. I just gave an example of how PSG were nothing.
Won the first Champions League last
Did you hear anything I just said? Anything?
I heard everything you said. You're comparing Arsenal winning the Champions, or sorry, bro, what's your name? The guy who mentioned Greece. I'm sorry,
Albert.
Bro.
That's Albert. That's Albert.
Sorry, Albert. Yeah.
I
can't put the two together. Like, we're nowhere. Greece would have been something like a Leicester. They were probably 2,000 to 1 to win that. Arsenal were one of the.
That's another great example, and they have been compared.
Arsenal were one of the favourites to win the Champions League at the start of it.
Your mistake.
So it's not David versus Goliath. It's two of the best teams in Europe going against each other. That's what it is. There's not going to be no massive shock if Arsenal go and beat PSG.
Currently, the temperature of this game is that for many people that we would get a whipping, and this team needs to approach this game with the grit and determination and the blue collar attitude that it's had the entire. Sorry, what?
Even though we've only conceded 6 goals in the whole Champions League.
Did I not say that no one's respected us? Like what we've done coming to the final, that's zero respect. And I said we're the greatest. This is the greatest qualifying campaign of any Arsenal team.
I'll give you a better example, guys. 1994. And I was only 3 years old. But Kenny Ken, you could probably share it, or some of the older people on this thing, right? I'm sure that we weren't the favourites to win that against a great Parma side, right?
No. I think individually, in 94,
we went and won the game 1-0.
Yeah, Palmer.
That's a better example than comparing us to.
I hear you saying Palmer players like. But Palmer had players like Zola, Asprilla, and Brolin, and we won. But we did it the Arsenal way. Obviously, we played a lot of time out the ball. Remember, Ian Wright was banned. Alan Smith had started games. We didn't have particularly a great midfield, but we scored early. And then we made ourselves difficult to beat, which is probably similar to what we're probably going to have to do in Budapest.
Exactly.
Where we get the first goal, then we'll make ourselves difficult to beat. But Sophie's got a point. As great as our campaign has been, you look at our pedigree in Europe for a club of our size, it's not great. Now, it doesn't mean that we're the underdogs.
Neither is PSG's though, Ken. They've won one Champions League. That was their first time.
But the fact is, when you look at the football PSG played and the pedigree of what they're doing, and you look at the fact that they can play 3 different ways, and they beat us last year, they are the favourites. There's nothing wrong with that. I've got no problem with that.
I never said they're not the favourites. There has to be a favourite in every game, right?
It doesn't mean we can't beat them, but we got to be at our best. They score first.
The bookies are no fools. They have it very, very close.
If they score first, then it's been known for them to take the game away from the opposition because of the way they can defend, because of the way that Kvaratskhelia and Doué track back. So they're defensively disciplined, especially like the forward players. And Dembele comes from goes into the box where he's unmarkable, and then he scores a goal. If we score first, of course, you think, right, we're probably one of the most difficult teams to break down. I get where you come from, Dan. I get where Sophie's come from. But as I said before, respect is only earned and it's only deserved when you get side strains. So when people talk about Arsenal and the best defence and the best that, where's the evidence? No trophies. When you talk about the best league campaign in Europe in terms of we've been unbeaten, we concede less goals.
Yeah,
You
but we
wouldn't
might
care.
have a
You wouldn't.
trophy. We might have a trophy going into it,
I
Kev.
know you
We
might,
be the
but
Premier League champions.
until we win all these things, then you can get your side strains and you can start going, get your chest out. At the moment, we're a team. We haven't done it yet. We're close, very, very close. We've got a great opportunity, but that's how the world works when it comes to talking about great teams. You look at the situation in terms of London, super.
And FC
the
Porto
superior
when they
London
won
club.
it, when
What's
FC
that?
Porto won it, when FC Porto won it, they would have been massive underdogs at the start of that competition. They would have been.
When
something
FC
like
Porto
that.
when they played Monaco, they're
Yeah,
quite
they
the
played
favourites.
Monaco in the final, but I'm talking
were-
before that. When they got there, they played Man United. They weren't expected to get to a final, were they? That's the year we should have won it, really.
After that, as soon as they're halfway final, remember.
But for me, the two best teams have made the final.
Oh yeah, without
in the
a
Champions
shadow of
League.
a doubt.
Yeah,
The
that's
problem is-
fair. That is fair.
the
The two
problem is
best
Paris-
teams. We've got
Paris
the best
are now in European powers because they've won
best
things,
attack. That's what
which
it is.
makes them understandably and the conversation when it comes to top clubs in Europe because they've won it. We will be in that conversation if and when we win the Champions League, and hopefully on the 30th of May in Budapest, we'll be part of that conversation, Dane. And then it won't be in dispute.
Come up behind me again and lift me up.
Dan,
sounding a bit wrong, Dan. I'll be honest.
You must
Jesus.
be relieved when you realise it was me doing it. Can you imagine it was someone weak doing it? You would have been in hospital by now. You would have been on this podcast. You were relieved when I picked you up. You thought, please let it be Kenny. Please let it be Kenny. The relief in your face when you realised it was me picking you up. You went, oh, thank God, thank God. Of course, I got a hug.
In that moment, mate. In that moment, nothing could have stopped my joy in that moment, mate.
Let me come to these next two before we close and get out of here. We'll discuss these as a panel as well. A bit more upbeat question here because there's quite a few genuine contenders for this award. What are we saying? Arsenal's player of the season.
Raya.
David Raya. Easy peasy. David Raya.
Easy.
We all think David Raya. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's David Raya. Our only world-class player, David Raya.
Anyone else want to put another name forward, or are we all agreeing on Raya? That was really quick. I didn't expect that.
I think David Raya should have been up for Player of the Year. I mean, it's a shame that goalkeepers and sometimes defenders don't get that same respect, but he's just been brilliant this season.
I'd love to know, right, if we could go back through all the fixtures this season. I'd love to know how many points David Raya saved us this season.
Someone did this, Albert, didn't they, the other day? It's in the double digits.
Great decision to bring him in.
From what I could remember, someone.
Dan, you're
if I find it, Brandon, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
Else, Dan.
Listen,
they say, don't they?
A lot of fans questioned him, didn't they, when he brought him in?
I did.
Hey, Dan, I'm sure you questioned him a bit as well. Or was you saying, no, it's super Mick, that's it, whatever he does is right in my eyes? Because every Arsenal fan I know question him, because I didn't think Ramsdale was doing that much wrong.
No, you know what? Ramsdale, when he had that interview with Ian Wright, and you see Wright's face looking at him like, bruv, what are you doing? And he said that he loses concentration and starts looking up at pigeons and that during games. I think as soon as Mikel saw that, he was gone.
What was that, the Southampton game where he got done?
Do you know what, though, Dan? I think Dan's right, really, Schooner. He's right. When you looked at the Arsenal team at that moment, I never really looked at Aaron Ramsdale as being a weak link for Arsenal. Like, you remember
he was in the team of the season.
Yeah, exactly. You remember the save that he made
against Leicester? Was it
against
Leicester?
Yeah, from the free kick and all of that.
Against Liverpool. Listen, he had a good season that year, but like there's the Southampton game, there were games where obviously, and I think it was the guy who the goalkeeping coach from Brentford came to Arsenal. And I think he said to Mikel, and they've had the discussion and they decided to bring him in. But a lot of players that Mikel brings in, straight away, fans were ready to criticise. And most of the time, the main ones, the starters, not the squad players, come good. And I expect that to happen with Zubimendi as well. I think next season he'll be a much better player.
He's finished.
And listen, he was good for the first half of the season.
He's done. In my eyes, I think he's done. I don't think he's physically ready for the Prem. He doesn't dictate no games.
And Robert
I just don't think he's good enough.
Pires wasn't ready for the
Don't
first
compare
season.
Zubimendi to Perez. Don't do that. Yeah, he's not good enough.
I'm not.
Do
Sorry.
you know that's a
Eddie,
fact?
Eddie.
Do you know for a fact that's what happened with Ramsdale?
Sorry.
Do you know for
No,
a fact that's what
Wait,
happened
Hey,
with
Self, he was
Ramsdale?
messaging me earlier saying that he's been talking to
Well,
Mikel. That's
No,
what he
but
said
it's
to me in the
the
WhatsApp.
interview.
Just anything, like whatever, how you describe the Ramsdale situation. Do you know that as a fact that's what happened and why
What,
Ramsdale?
when
I
he was-
know that the Brentford goalkeeping coach came to Arsenal, and then we bought Raya, and we tried to get
we
Raya.
were
the season
tracking
before.
Raya for about 5.
Yeah, we
were
tried to
tracking
get Raya the
3 years
season before.
Yeah, but don't you think
And then
3
we
years
ended up
before
getting
we got
Ramsdale. So it wasn't a thing where, you know, they always wanted David Raya. And
I was
David
going to say,
Raya, his journey is nothing short of sensational. He was in non-league. He came over from Spain and was playing non-league on loan from, I can't remember, a team,
Was it
Stockport,
Stockport,
someone like that. Yeah.
then Blackburn,
Yeah.
then Brentford, then Arsenal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, player of the year. Listen, it's out of probably him and Declan Rice, isn't it? And Gabriel's definitely got a shout in there as well.
It's just him. It's
Saliba
just
as
him.
well. Saliba's got a shout.
Am I the
I
only
was
one
I
in
was
here
one
that
of
don't
those.
think-
I was one of those fans who was very wrong, and Albert will. I think I've probably mentioned it 122,000 times on our show. Every time I mention Raya, I mention how happy I am that I was so wrong about a player and that Mikel was so right. And you want him to be right all the time. You want him to be right all the time because that's what you want. Go on.
You're gonna want to belt me one, but
No.
I've called people like yourself friends of Aaron. I called you the Friends of Aaron Society because you know, like
I'm not. I'm friends with his dad.
No. I didn't call it because of that. It's because I couldn't understand sort of like opposition to David Raya because we were tracking it for 3 years, and every year he surpasses my expectations. He just gets better and better. But I think the thing with Aaron is that Aaron's a very good goalkeeper, but he's a very good goalkeeper. David Raya is world class. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
If you sign a player, regardless of who they are, if that player is a few percentage better than what you've got to go and get him because that few percent can lead to what we are now.
The fine margins.
Fine margins. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the time though, Ken, as well, like I mean, for the first 6 months, I'll admit it myself. I'm in the same camp as Sophie. For the first 6 months, I thought, is there really that much difference between the two? I think the distribution was certainly better from Raya compared to Ramsdale. But apart from that, in the goalkeeping department, obviously Raya made a few mistakes to begin with, and I didn't really see a major difference between the two. But coming back to what positive Dan was saying. You can't do anything but sit there and say, fair play, Mikel Arteta, because he sees something that nobody else did. Yes, we was tracking Raya for 3 years prior, and we wanted to bring him in.
He was a bit of criticism, Mikel, though. You know why I criticised Mikel? Because as soon as we got Raya, he didn't put him in goal in the first place. He waited a few games.
That was good, though.
And that's what he should have done. But I think the Man United game, we won 3-1. But if you look at this instance when Aaron kicks the ball out and it goes straight to a Man United player, and from that phase of play, they started attacking. He's happened to make a save. I looked at that game and I thought, you're not going to be in goal that long, mate. If you're kicking the ball into the abyss.
And
just to wrap up on that, it's not a case. Sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes there's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. And let's just say that sometimes people don't know what happens, and a lot of the times we don't, but we have opinions on it. And sometimes, if someone may know, it's just we just have to sometimes defer to maybe someone who understands or knows of a situation where something may have occurred.
Again, right, he sees something that we didn't see, and I think also now that you look back on it now, because when Aaron Ramsdale was signed for Arsenal, not a lot of people were expecting anything from him because barely anybody actually wanted him. It was like, why are we signing this guy? And then for him to come and do as well as he did, I think he kind of exceeded expectations as well, which is again.
It did help us get back into the Champions League.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what people say about Benjamin White and Aaron and that class, the first proper, transfer class in a long time, if you like, the Benjamin White, Tomiyasu. Okay, that turned out to be, that class. And then the Zinchenko class. You outgrow players, but they did help us get back into Champions League. They were part of the process, weren't they?
I just think that, like, for the way that Mikel wants football to be played, Aaron Ramsdale is just way too rash of a player. Like, it's just as simple as that. Like, it's just too rash.
Look, you know what is? Remember Cucicini when he was at Chelsea in 2004? He was a great goal. We thought he was a great goalkeeper. Then they got, Petr Cech. That moved the dial.